Hi, I'm Lisa Martin.
And I'm Jim Majori.
Welcome to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. Welcome back. We're here today at Hampton Airfield, and I'm joined by Bill Rose, flight instructor. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
It's a beautiful day. It's nice to be able to be out here in the sunshine after the winter that we just came through.
It certainly is. We had over 4 feet of snow on the runway here and couldn't use the airport all winter.
Wow. So that's a great question for me. Do you actually run all year long here?
Weather permitting, yes, we do. Last winter, of course, we were closed down for almost 4 months, but weather permitting, we fly year-round here.
And so I would imagine that there have been some good years and there have been some pretty awful years. This year was a bad year.
This one was bad. The previous year we did fly most of the winter time, but as long as the temperature's not too cold, down into the deep 20s, we do fly all year.
Are you bounded by the snow? So do you plow, or if there's snow, there's no
If
flying?
there's too much snow, we can't plow, but we do have the capability of ski planes operating in and out of here on the snow, and quite often we do have them
Ski planes?
flying all year.
So are ski planes like water planes?
Very much so. It's more like snow skiing than it is on the water, though.
So you've been here a long time, right?
I've been here about 13 years since I retired from the airlines doing primary flight instruction in the old antique J3 Cubs.
Yeah. And so what types of planes do you find here? What kind of planes come to this particular airport at the Hampton Airfield?
Most of the airplanes that will be coming in and out of here are what we call single-engine land aircraft. We specialize in antique aircraft around here. And as I said earlier, what we're doing is mostly primary flight training. The other aircraft that will be coming in here would be Cessna 150s, 172s, all kinds of Piper Cherokees and the like.
So do people come here with their own planes? Do they just come and go on their way to somewhere else? What types of planes are here, and what types of planes are actually based out of here?
Again, mostly single-engine land airplanes, but the airport does supply fuel, so we get a lot of transit aircraft going to other places. There's probably 75 or more airplanes based here, and during the summertime, especially on the weekends, people fly in to the airfield cafe and have lunch and go elsewhere, go back home.
So how much flying takes place here? How busy is it on a busy summer day?
On a beautiful summer day, it will be the literal aviation zoo around here. I couldn't give you any numbers, but there have been times when I've often thought we really needed a control tower here. It's an uncontrolled airport or non-towered airport, and everybody just watches out for each other and flies in and out of here very safely.
Okay, so and that I assume is due to the flight instruction. You've got 4 flight instructors here?
We have 4 to 6 flight instructors, and 2 of them, myself and a gentleman named Bob Casey, are both retired airline pilots, and then we have any number of younger flight instructors that are trying to build time to work their way up the aviation food chain, many of which have gone on to fly for the airlines and the military.
Oh really? You've got people who've left here who've gone into the military?
Yes, we have. One of my students is flying F-15s in England right now. Another one is flying F-22 Raptors, and 4 of my students are flying for the airlines.
So that's an interesting question, but we'll get to that when we get back from the break. Right now, we're going to take a break for some community notes. Welcome back to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. As a reminder, Jim is on assignment. He'll be joining us later in the show. We're here with Bill Rose at the Hampton Airfield. When we left at the break, we were talking about people who came here for instruction. Talk to me a little bit about what people come here for. What does Hampton Airfield offer for families or for people wanting to learn? What kinds of opportunities do you have here at Hampton Airfield?
Well, so many of the students that have learned to fly here came here initially with their families for a meal at the Airfield Cafe. And we make a concerted effort to put little kids in airplanes, just show them around. And sooner or later they come back as students and just progress right on up.
So if I was coming here with my children, I could give them an opportunity to actually touch or feel or see the airplanes?
Yes, we make a
What a
concerted
great
effort at
day
doing
with
that.
your kids.
Yep, it is. It's a beautiful day out here. The patio at the airport cafe allows you to watch all the flight training that's going on, takeoffs and landings, and get a feel for what a grassroots general aviation airport is all about.
That's so exciting. Now, what about once they progress out of child stage and they want to be a little bit more advanced? What types of training or skills do you offer here?
Well, we offer the primary training, and then once they've got their light sport license or their private pilot's license, many of them continue on to get their instrument rating, their commercial licenses. That allows them to work for the airlines. And we also have a very good maintenance facility here. So if you're interested in learning how to repair airplanes, you can work in the hangar. We also have an absolutely fantastic restoration operation here run by Craig St. Clair. He restores antique airplanes to museum quality. So we have a lot going for us here at Hampton Airport that most other airports can't offer.
And it sounds like you've got a lot of connections here between famous people coming in or people leaving here to connect with famous people.
Yes, one of the most famous people is a gentleman by the name of Rob Holland. He's the World Aerobatic Freestyle Champ, I believe that's the title. He used to flight instruct here, and he's still doing a lot of aerobatics, air shows. His wife, Jessica, is a flight instructor here. She works for MIT as an engineer. We've got probably a half a dozen different people from MIT that either have airplanes here or constantly fly in and out of here just to maintain their proficiency of flying in and out of a small airport.
And you've had grads people continue on as well, crew, not just for people here flying, but people working on airplanes have
Yes.
been able to take that training out into the bigger world as well, yes?
Yes, the gentleman that's doing our maintenance now, he started and learned how to fly here, and he's back, and he decided he liked to fly, but he was much more adept at maintaining airplanes. So that's where it seems to go here. You start off and you can go to many different areas in the aviation community.
And it sounds like you've had someone who's gone to even to work with John Travolta's crew.
Yes, I don't know that gentleman's name, but he learned to fly here and got his maintenance rating somewhere else and then went to work for John Travolta maintaining his airplanes.
Wow. So it's a lot of connections.
Very many connections.
So as I look out here now, there's a lot of renovation going on. What are you doing here?
Well, historically it was nothing but a grass strip, and that made a lot of people very happy. However, in the modern world, most people like to land on hard surface runways, so we're in the process of making a 50-foot wide hard surface runway. Next to it will be an 85-foot grass runway, so we're going to have the best of both worlds. For the purists like myself who like tailwheel airplanes in grass, we'll have that. For airplanes that are complex, retractable landing gear, they prefer to land on a nice smooth hard surface runway, so we're going to have that available to them.
All right, well, thank you very much. We have been here today at Hampton Airfield with Bill Rose. If you're looking for information about the Hampton Airfield, the hours for the cafe, information about flight instruction or other opportunities here, you can find that at www.hamptonairfield.com. And we're going to take a break now for some community notes. Bill, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me.
Welcome back to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. I'm Lisa Martin. Jim is on assignment. He'll join us later. We just spoke with Bill Rose at the Hampton Airfield, and now we're joined by Alex Betcher, a pilot here. Alex, why do they call you the airport bum?
Well, they call me the airport bum here because I started hanging out here when I was 11 and working here and doing all sorts of things, getting airplane rides, and I haven't left since, and I'm now 18.
Yeah, so when we last spoke, you were at Winnacunnet, and now you're a senior. A lot's gone on in the last couple of years. Bring us up to date.
Yes, I believe the last time that I talked with you, I was either just about to solo or I had soloed on my first solo flight when I was 16. And after that...
And I remember talking about that from your mother's point of view. Was she, has she recovered, and is she fully supportive now?
Yeah.
And I think she was then too, right?
Yeah, she really enjoys the flying that I've done here, and she's not too worried about it. I think she's more worried about me riding a bike down the street than I am flying. So I've been working here at the Hampton Airfield since then, and continued my flight training. And helping out around the airport with students and anyone that's around here that needs help, whether it's washing planes or cutting the runway or working the desk here. Been helping out and continuing to fly.
That sounds like a great way to spend your high school years.
Yes,
Do you ever,
definitely.
and I think the last time we talked about it was, were you ever going to take girls out on dates on the airplanes? And I remember you were pretty closed-mouthed about it the last time we talked about this.
Yeah.
Because that's way cooler than taking a girl out in a car. Let me tell you.
I haven't been involved too much with girls yet. I've been more focused on airplanes, so we'll see what the future holds.
Well, speaking of the future, I'm sure you've got plenty of trips ahead of you. Have you taken a lot of trips in the last couple of years out of here?
Yes, the most incredible trip that I took was last summer, and I flew out to Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yes, and there is the air show out there. It's the world's largest air show with over 10,000 airplanes.
Wow.
And it's really cool. One of the greatest things that you can do in aviation. And flew out there all the way from here. We left here at 2 in the morning, so it was an incredibly long flight, 11 hours to get out there.
Wow.
And it was a really long day, but it was totally worth it.
Now, was it a direct flight, or did you stop along the way?
We made 2 stops along the way for fuel and to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's no bathrooms in these small planes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
So there's 3 of us that went out. One of my other friends who flies here and works here. And then my boss, we flew out in one of his airplanes, and it was a great time.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
So now you're a senior. What's next for you?
Next for me is attending Daniel Webster College in the fall. I will be attending aeronautical engineering out there, and that'll be a 4-year program. After that, I will be planning on joining the Air National Guard.
Out of Portsmouth up here?
Yes, out of Portsmouth.
Wow.
And there I'll be flying tankers, hopefully, in the near future.
Tankers.
And those are the aerial refueling airplanes that you see flying around the seacoast a lot.
That sounds really exciting. Let's hold that thought. We're going to take a break now for some community notes. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll discuss your thoughts on the renovation going on here.
Definitely.
Thanks. We'll be back after these community notes. Welcome back to the spring edition of Atlantic Ave. I'm Lisa Martin. Jim's on assignment and joining us later. We're back with Alex Betcher at the Hampton Airfield. When we took a break, we were talking about your plans for post-graduation, and you said you're going to be joining the Air National Guard after you graduate. And you mentioned you're going to be flying tankers. Are those the refueling planes?
Yes, those are the refueling planes that you see flying around the seacoast here. Typically, on an average day, you'll see maybe 1 or 2 flying around. And those airplanes are purposed for refueling aircraft in the air without having to land.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with those. When I was little, my dad was in the Air Force and he was involved with the tanker. So I've always been fascinated with the whole logistics of refueling planes in flight.
Yeah, and the same thing for me. I've been really interested ever since I was a little kid of the KC-135, which is the tankers, and it would be really neat for me to be able to fly one day. So that's my goal.
That sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the expansion that's going on here. We talked a little bit about Bill, but tell us some more about the expansion. What all is being done here?
Yeah,
in addition to the runways, as Bill discussed.
Yeah, Bill had discussed about the pavement that's going to be put in place next to the grass runway, as well as taxiways. And really the purpose of the pavement is to keep the airport for a year-round operation. It's really tricky to have a airport operating in a grass environment with snow, as it's tricky to plow year-round and not have the ability to plow it if the temperatures aren't right with the...
So things like this past year really put a dent in what you're trying to do.
Yes, definitely. We had 4 feet of snow on the runway,
Yeah,
so
crazy.
wouldn't be able to fly out there. You probably couldn't even get a snowmobile out there.
No.
So really the purpose of that is to be able to fly all the time and not have to worry about the snow being an issue, and really have airplanes flying year-round and students learning to fly and having something for the cafe to look at in the wintertime.
So it helps not just the pilots, but it helps the cafe as well.
Yes,
so
definitely.
So it's good for the community.
Yes, it is definitely. The cafe in the wintertime, they really get to look at a lot of snow and snowbanks and not a whole lot of airplanes.
Kind of less of a draw if you've got little kids, right?
Yes, definitely.
So after the renovation, people with kids can still keep this in mind for a wintertime activity, which is a great thing to do when if everybody else is snowbound. You can come here and know the planes are still running, so you can get out of the house.
Yes,
and
definitely.
get the kids out and looking at the planes.
Definitely.
That's a great winter opportunity.
Yeah, and the wintertime here is tough because a lot of people get discouraged if we're not flying for a while, and you have to kind of get back into things in the springtime.
Get rusty.
Yeah, you get a little bit rusty. So the pavement will definitely help.
Great. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pretty interesting conversation today at the Hampton Airfield. We were joined by Bill Rose, a flight instructor, and Alex Betcher. I'd like to thank both of you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break now and see some community notes.
So far, the day has been going great. We had a ton of people show up. I'm so excited. We had no idea if, we were going to get a small turnout or if we were going to get hundreds of people, and it looks like we got hundreds of people that showed up to see the artwork from all the kids from Northampton School. We had people eating hot dogs, buying t-shirts, doing doodle art, watching videos and slideshows, and just walking around and admiring all the artwork from all the kids at Northampton. So we're so excited. We're really happy that people love the arts here in the Northampton community. So thank you so much for coming and checking out the artwork from the kids here.
Super excited with the turnout, and my favorite part is definitely watching the children. They just feel like celebrities, showing off their artwork to their friends, to their parents, to their relatives, and they're just
She's a celebrity with the little kids too.
They're excited about the range of work. There's clay sculptures, paintings, drawings, wood, all different recycled materials, so everything really feels one of a kind and unique.
Yes.
I'm being called away.
And parents getting just as excited about the kids' artwork as the kids. It's been a wonderful experience.
at this point in the school year, most of the kids from preschool up through 4th grade, which is what I work with, are doing drawing, painting, collage, mask making, sculpture, and you kind of see a little bit of all of what they've been learning as the year goes on. And then as the kids get older, there's even more diversity.
There is, and they can take what they've learned when they were in the younger grades and apply it to the quality that we expect at the older levels. And they do the same thing. They do robots, except instead of using tape, they can use glue guns, and so the robots have all sorts of different parts. And we let them work on whatever they want to work on, so it's their ideas and their passions that come out into their artwork. And it's really so fun to see where they're at this level, and then as they get older, if the passions stay the same and the quality changes, or if the things that they love change. And so we get to know them as individuals, and it's just a great thing to see.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you on this edition of Atlantic Ave. But in our next edition, we're going to be right here at the fire department, where we're going to meet the new chief of our fire department, Mike Tully, and we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the newest piece of equipment that we have, which is the ambulance. It's quite a piece of machinery. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks to all our guests. It's great to be back on Atlantic Ave with Jim and all the rest of the crew. Join us next time on the next edition of Atlantic Ave.